Hey guys, welcome to Indy Reel, where I talk about an independent movie, the film that had limited release in theaters, give it a chance to give my own thoughts and opinions, and whether or not I felt it was worth my wait. And the film I'll be talking about, surprisingly, is Chi Raq. Now, Spike Lee is a well-known director, but he's also more on the independent side. And being that Chi Raq was not released in major theaters, only at very selected theaters as well as the Amazon stream, this counts as an independent movie review. And the reason why it's called an independent movie review is because Spike Lee had the hardest time getting this film pushed through major studios. No studios wanted to touch this movie, and which led him to go to Amazon. As a result, many people who heard about it through words of mouth or by reviewers, either by the internet reviewers or your pretty much traditional reviewers. In short, this film didn't have too much of a push. In fact, I have not seen not one commercial or any advertisements on anywhere that talked about this movie. The only way I actually have known about it is through online via by reviewers and people who was talking about it through word of mouth. I'm kind of glad I did saw this movie, and even though there were some issues I have with the way Spike Lee went about this film, I can safely say that this is one of his better films I have seen in a very long time. And the reason is that there was more passion into terms of what he wanted to say, and it showed by the actors who had done the performance of this movie, especially from Angela Bassett, as well as some of the young actresses and even the actors, for that matter, have stepped up the game. There are only a few things that ignore me, and I'll talk about that throughout this review. But needless to say, there was a lot of dedication into this movie, especially from Jennifer Hudson, who played the centerpiece of the theme of the movie, and she played a mother whose child was a victim of gun violence, which sparked a movement, and that movement is that the females, the girlfriends and the boyfriends and the family members of the female family members of the gangs decided to practice celibacy, not doing sex as long as the gang violence arrives. This pretty much sparked the film, and throughout most of the time, the dialogue as well as what they were trying to go for was pretty solid. However, and I really do hate to bring this up because in general, Spike Lee did a good job overall directing this film, but Spike Lee can tend to go a little overboard when trying to present this movie. And what I mean by that is that he tries to tackle on a lot of subject, and sometimes it make the movie a little sloppy than what it really is. And there's a scene in this movie, spoiler alert if you guys consider this, where John Cusack's character, which he plays a minister, is doing a sermon of the deceased here, and we got a scene that I know the intention was right, but really was not done properly. The structure was just not done properly, especially when they're trying to tackle a whole lot of issues at once. It really came to look less serious than what the film intentionally was supposed to be, and that's unfortunate considering that the overall film was very good. I really did enjoy watching this film. I glad watching this film, but again, Spike Lee sometimes go a little overboard with trying to send a message. It's one thing if he brings out these messages, but it's done in a way that is links together neatly. Sometimes he just go over the rails and try to present everything into one bundle, and that often doesn't work in that case, especially that scene. It didn't work out. Samuel Jackson plays like a narrator in this movie. I've had a hard time taking this character seriously because, and one thing, he looks like a pimp trying to sell a car while he's talking. Another time, it's like, you really want this man to tell me what's going on about the violence, and it sometimes go overboard where you have almost like a malicious style situation where they're basically closing up the streets of Chicago due to this movement that the wives are doing. Sometimes, like I said, he goes a little overboard in trying to send his message, and you kind of wish he doesn't do that too much because like I said, this film like this, a lot of people can tend to be like, "Oh man, you're going overboard, you're going over the top, and you're being over preachy." Is he being over preachy in this? Yes, there's no denying that. But I say for the majority of this film, especially with the ending, which was not a shock to me, but it was still effective. I think the ending of this movie was very well done. I think it hit the point very, very good. And that really was the strong point of the film, is how they ended the film. And I thought that was a very good job, even though I kind of see it coming just by the way one of the center actors, who goes by the name of Chi Raq, was leading. So with that being said, I think that was the highlight of the film, because again, there was a point to be made, and I think when it stayed on track, it won its point very, very well. This film was very controversial right from the get-go, because a lot of people from Chicago was offended that he actually made a film like this. I feel like that this film shouldn't be taken offense. Instead, it should be looked at, and we should learn from what Spike Lee is trying to say. Because, like I said, when he's on point on a specific topic, it really shows. I've considered this not only be a good film, but an educational film. If anything else, I think that people, especially black men, should look at this film. It really speaks a lot of volumes. It's not just what's going on with Chicago, with all the gun violence they're having over there, but just basically in a lot of urban cities in general, who's been ravaged by gang violence and just gun violence in general. I think this is a educational stamp of approval. And out of scale of 1 to 4, I'm giving this film 3 stars. I wanted to give it a high rating, I really did, but there was just a lot of stuff that Spike Lee made me scratch my head and said, "Damn, man! If only you just stay focused just a little bit in this movie and not go all over the place. This could have been a great film, probably one of the top 10 best films." But the way it was structured during that middle part, it just ruined some of the notoriety that I probably would have given it, have Spike Lee having just went off the deep end during that time. But he did settle down. It went back to what it was supposed to focus on, and when he did that, I think the film works very well. I also praise the use of dialogue. This is more like a Shakespearean style movie, which I'm kind of surprised he actually would have done it this way. But I think this was very, very, very effective. The female actress was great. The male actress was great. Kind of surprised Wesley Snipes was in this film. He was actually pretty good. Something that I think he desperately needs, because he is trying to make a comeback. There was even cameos from Dave Chappelle, which are kind of surprising. He looks a little bit different than the last time I've seen him, but I'm glad he's actually slowly getting back into at least being in film, because I think a lot of people do miss him, and I hope they see him a lot more major roles in the future. But like I said, there was a lot of characters that I didn't really care for. John Cusack playing the minister didn't bother me. I think that he, for the most part, when his character settled down, I actually like what he's doing, respect what he's saying. It was that funeral scene that just was like, wow, we're really going over the top with this scene, aren't we? We really are, just going hyperdrive with this. It didn't really need to be that way, but the most part, I thought he was okay. I thought that he really did settle down and made that, at least that character was presentable. And I knew what he was trying to do. I knew what he wanted to do. And the scene when he's talking to one of the leader of the gang members, basically telling him, "Hey, look, man, you're going down a bad path where you're going to be dead or going to be part of the system. And then once you're part of the system, you're basically making money from the system, based because you're now incarcerated." A scene with him interacting with him was very, very well done, and I thought that was a very, very pivotal part of the film. Seeing this minister, who's really, you can see in his face that he's not feeling it. He's not trying to back down, but at the same time, you're wondering, just from both sides of the coin, what are they really fighting for? Because that's the whole thing that this film really was, that I actually liked about it. They really showing you that they're not really fighting for anything. They're killing each other for nothing. The people who's getting affected the most, all the citizens, the children, the people who live in the neighborhood, they're the ones that are feeling it the most. It really does set the volume harder with that film. the music was well done. Again, now this is a director. I don't consider him a big favorite of the rap. So the fact that he put the rap in there and it actually represented what the movie is about, I actually have to give Spike Lee another credit for. Again, Spike Lee, I'm very happy he did this movie. I'm very, very happy that he presented this movie. I think it's one of the better films he have done in a while. But again, there are some things that sometimes he talks, and then sometimes he sends a message, and sometimes he sends a message to the extreme. And there was a lot of stuff in here that he had done to the extreme. Now, Samuel Jackson, love his acting. Really love to see him in this film. He had no purpose other than to narrate some of the stuff that's going on, and some of the narration went from comical to just, do we really need this? Do we really need this character? It was hard to take him seriously. I mean, I even took him seriously with the RoboCop situation. So see this kind of situation, it's like, we didn't need to need Samuel Jackson in this movie. I think the other actors could have done fine by representing what is going on by then. Again, it's a three-star film. Like I said, the problems I had didn't affect me giving this a good rating. In fact, I said again, this is a educational stamp of approval. It is definitely one of Spike Lee's better films, and I'm actually glad he did it. I'm actually glad he found a way to bring this out to the public. And if anything else, I will recommend the men, the families, to even see this film, because it is a very powerful film, and it does speak to the gun violence and the just basically the gang violence that's been going on. I think that seeing this film really, it is an educational film just by itself. That's all I got to say about the film. You may disagree with me what I said to say. I'd like to hear your opinion on the matter. Until next time, this is J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.